Late summer in Alabama, cue the cicadas and the heat and the need for something to break the heat. And this is a follow-up to this, my mini split system that I installed in my barn, the HVAC Mirage Ventus X. 2 years I've had this system. Now in 2 years, I keep my stuff clean. I try to keep everything nice and working well. And you can see the blue's still blue. It's not packed up. It's about time to rinse this off, but after 2 years, I've only used a leaf blower on this. And I did clean the top regularly, but I haven't done so in over 2 months. And you can see just a little bit of stuff here, but overall, it still has that nice gloss, the pretty shine of a new unit. These are holding up well. They're not made cheaply, or at least like a traditional cheap unit, even though this is a budget unit. Just look. Everything still looks nice. I would say this cover right here, probably the only area that looks a little aged, and that's just on the top here, and I think that's because water's splashing off this. Just creates a little coating. Everything else beautiful after 2 years. I mean, 2 years, this Ventus X has worked and worked perfectly, flawlessly. Even the ducting has held up well. I did add this cover. Had the installers put this on. I used wind-sanity mini splits. They installed this ducting. These can handle 25 feet of cable charge out of the box. I have 23 feet. This is the only other real maintenance. There are three maintenance things. One, make sure the coils are clean. Two, make sure this is vacuumed once a year. Just put some suction on it. Make sure it can drip. Actually, reverse those three, because number one is to keep the filter in the head unit here, the indoor part of the mini split. Keep that clean. Second would be to make sure the coils outside are clean. And third, make sure that at least once a year suction is used to make sure it's draining properly. I don't want any water backing up and getting onto this unfinished sheetrock. But 2 years later, this has worked perfectly. It's 79 degrees in here. This is a high roof barn. I have a fan in the loft, and between those two things, it works. It feels great. It feels great in here. And since we're doing the update, I'll talk about this remote. I've had a few questions asked about these remotes. First, the I Feel feature. You can see the button there on the bottom, I Feel. This is not something that you set and forget. What it does is if you press that button, whatever temperature this remote is set at, you can move this remote to the other side of a room, way away from where this unit is, and the temperature will follow this remote, but it only does so for a few hours, and then it resets. So if you set I Feel, and then a day or two later, you're like, well, this is back at whatever I had the unit set at, that's because it's a temporary setting. This isn't a permanent thermostat that you mount somewhere using the I Feel. It's always going to go off the temperature of the unit, except for that temporary little I Feel point. Also, let's see, we have power, we have modes, and the modes, that is dehumidifier, that is fan, that is heater, that is auto mode, and I was told by wind-sanity mini splits, they don't recommend auto mode because it will become energy inefficient. And that, of course, with that little snowflake, that's the good cooling. And this also a heater. You saw I had that sun mode. This works as a heater, works great. Keeps humidity nice. There we go. A little better focus. Keeps humidity nice there. Okay, so that's your modes. Temp up and down, that's pretty obvious. 78 degrees, and that'll change the unit to 78 degrees. Go back up to 79, go up to 80. I like it at 79 in here. That's where the humidity and the temperature feels the best without using up a lot of electricity. And I have saved so much. It used to cost me 70 extra bucks in the summer, and that was because I had a temporary air conditioner in here that I had permanently mounted. It was so inefficient. Now it's only about 20 bucks a month that this cost me versus not having anything at all out here. So I'm saving at least $50 a month, and that's in peak winter, peak summer. So temperature, what do we have here? Turbo mode. What that does is increases the fan. I don't ever use that, but you can manually adjust fan speeds here if you want. I just leave it on temperature and let that dictate the speed of the fan. Swing, you can press this button And that little louver there is going to go up or down. And then you've got a side to side. There is an internal set of louvers in here. And those internal louvers can swing side to side. Mute, I have no idea what mute does. I'll have to look that up and see if I can find out what that does. Eco mode is just a more efficient mode. There's a timer so you can actually set this unit to shut off after a certain amount of time. Sleep mode works the same way. Quick edit, because sleep mode is not the same as the timer. It does this. I feel we've already covered. And display, if you hit that button, that turns off the display indicator. So if you just don't like lights, maybe it's in a bedroom, something like that, hit it again and it turns back on. That's the display button. And it comes with this little wall mountable plate. I haven't mounted yet because still working on that. But that's the remote. Very nice, very easy to use. I've used this solely to control this unit. I did buy this, the CeeLo Breeze Eco, and this is a thermostat of sorts that works with the unit. It basically becomes a remote. So it uses IR, just like the remote to control the unit. And you can mount this on a wall somewhere and set it and have remote access. Makes it a Wi-Fi. Because the one downside to this Ventus X that I have is there's no Wi-Fi, no app or something like that many of the units have. This one does not. I bought this and I thought this is going to work. Well, you can see it's still sealed up. I've had this for years. The reason I decided to not use this is I looked at the reviews and there seem to be multiple people complaining about them now charging for certain things. But more importantly, so many people said they had it set at one thing and then weeks or months later, sometimes they were out of town and found out that it wasn't working properly or it had locked in a different temperature and had messed up things. A heater was on when an air was supposed to be on. I don't want to do that. I don't want to hurt my unit or get it really humid or not air conditioned or something like that. And it's just not worth it to me. So I'm not going to use this. I just set it and forget it and leave it at 79 degrees. Now I do drop it down in the winter. The 79 is the summer unless I'm messing around in here. Then I'll cool it down some. But normally 79 in the summer, and I think I put it down to 60 something in the winter. I am going to temporarily turn this off. I do love the way it shuts up there. One other thing that I check regularly, obviously these filter screens, supposed to check them once a month, but I don't have to out here. There's just not a lot of dust generated in here. So I found that about every 3 months, and you can see, I haven't checked it. It's the 3rd month and they're still great. I'll still pop them out and I'll still vacuum them. But I did use tape. I've covered this in another video just to seal up any cracks to make sure that all the air is going through the filter screeners so don't get anything on the fan. And I've shown this before, but very easy to get these out. Just pull up and then pull down. Again, look how clean they are. And this is after 3 months. Get this other one pulled up, pulled out, clean. And look at that. Beautiful, nice and clean. That's what I look for. It's what you want to see. I also look up under here regularly. Sometimes mini splits can develop mold. And I look up in here with a light. This is the best I can get you. Look at that, nice and clean. That's what I look for. Look up in there, check that, and then check these filters. Other than that, just checking that line outside. There's a tray in here, and that drain line connects to a tube that goes outside. I check that with suction. I check the blue ribs outside to make sure they're all clean. I've blown them off. I'll rinse them off here shortly, and then I clean the outside of the unit, just make sure everything's looking good. Now it's time to get this back together. And that's it. Now I'll put my tape back on. Here you can see those little gaps I was talking about. That's why I use this tape. Air will take the path of least resistance. So I want to seal that up to force as much as possible to go through the filters. Easy peasy, ultra reliable. That's my Ventus X that I bought from wind-sanity mini splits. I found them on Facebook Marketplace. I have $1,500 invested in this, and that was the installation and all. 2 years later, working like a champ. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. And comment with any questions you have.